I hope it will work, otherwise I am lost. Thank you for warm presentation, and thank you for the invitation for me to come here. I can where is it? There is another lady who is in charge of it. She made it, she fixed it, she prepared, call her, she's nice too. It is inside, it is the right one.
The right one? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we have it now.
That's it. Yes. This new technology is. Can you bring it here? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wanted to say to you, Mark, what you have here, this institution, this Institute for Cultural Diplomacy, is an invention of a great value for the world we are living in. Your purpose, according to your paper, is that it was Institute for Cultural Diplomacy was established to promote global peace and stability through strengthening and supporting intellectual relations at all levels. It's excellent. This is what the world needs. It is pretentious, maybe it's too much, but to fight for peace is important, and we should never be tired of doing it. And you, here in the Europe, in Berlin, you are running such a fine institution. Not only this, you are, and you are going to be even more active to change the world, not just to talk, to come, to bring people together, to teach young people something new, and then proceed with another conference. You have practical aspects of your endeavor, like the one on model convention on international response to genocide, which is excellent, not perfect, but excellent step toward prevention of the crime. So congratulations for that, and I cannot tell you in enough strong words how happy I am for two things, that I'm here and that you are doing what you are doing, and I'm part of it. So far, so good for introduction. I'm going to speak on international response to genocide with three examples: Vukovar, Srebrenica, and Kurdistan. It seems to be a strange combination, but it is something what you have also in your proposal of your convention, model convention. You have mentioned Cambodia, Burundi, Rwanda, and Srebrenica, which is good. It will be better only to have it not in the preamble, but in the commentaries. And then not to stop with the Srebrenica, but said, and the others, because it's not the only one. There are two of them not listed in your list. But anyhow, my choice of these three places are very personal. I'm coming from the country of where Vukovar is. Srebrenica is close to us. Ambassador was speaking so nicely on that brutal terror on the Muslim people in Srebrenica, and in Kurdistan, where I was there invited to the international conference 2 weeks ago. So I'm under fresh, new kind of rememberings of this interesting, sad place of Kurdistan in Iraq. You have been there, you know this. I'm coming from the environment of victimology. Victimology is a new science. It's old as long as the Convention on Punishment and Prevention of the Genocide. And again, Lemkin was Polish, of Polish-Jewish origin. One, Benjamin Mendelssohn, was Jew who lost his whole family in Holocaust, in Auschwitz. And he, as a lawyer, coined the terms, the name, victimology, victims and science of victims, study of victims, at the end of the Second World War, due to the fact that there was a Holocaust, too many victims. Since that time, we have society, World Society of Victimology. I was happy to be once a president of it, one of the founding fathers, Germans, Americans, Jew, Israeli, and the others have been and are involved in this. And when we are talking about genocide, I'm thinking of victims, real and potential. We have to pay tribute to them. What is new in victimology is that we are coming to some new informations, conclusions on the process of victimization of the victims, how many there are, why they are, how happen, and what to do to stop it in the future. We are speaking about, and there is a lot of research done on victim risk and prevention of victimization in general. Rape case, genocide case, what have you, war crime, crimes against humanity. What is important for this very moment is that we are living not in perfect world. You have been speaking about positive and negative sides of the life. We are happy to be alive. Madame survived Sarajevo. And just to show you a daily report done by Human Security Report Project. Human Security News Daily of 9th of May, so it's fresh, new. You gave us something. There are featured stories like this one. Syria, forces arrest thousands in house-to-house raids. Egypt, 12 dead as Coptic Christians and Muslims clash in Cairo. Libya, NATO planes target government weapons depot in escalated attacks. Sudan, North Sudan agreed to withdraw forces from Abyei. Yemen, security forces open fire on protesters. Al-Qaeda in Iraq, leader 17 others killed in jail clash. Mexico, tens of thousands rally called for end to drug violence. Bahrain, king sets date to end martial law as activist trial begins. Tunisia, government raises possibility to vote, delay amid new unrest, and so on. we are living not in quite secure life and world. There is tremendous widespread potential of victimization. There is a lack of appropriate knowledge of the process of victimization, lack of knowledge, appropriate knowledge, lack of appropriate action to prevent victimization. Danger, risk, and unsafety are omnipresent. Did you fly to Berlin? Did you have your shoes taken from your legs? Deliberately? Yes, for safety reasons. We agree with that intervention in our privacy. Some types of interactions between human beings are non-random, and the result is predictable. This is a very important part of knowledge produced by victimology scientists. How about prevention of victimization? Since exposure is a necessary condition for a victimization, the obvious way to prevent victimization is to limit exposures. To limit exposures, if we know for one. There are or have to be limits to risk. I published or wrote the book, Limits to Risk, on medical treatment. There are limits to risk. We are not ready to accept all possible risk. Yes, we fly. A human being went to moon, probably. Yes, I believe. It was not fake, but there was a risk, of course, and it was calculated in advance for very specific purpose, and so on. But there are limits to risk. Laika was sent to the heaven deliberately, not the human being. Victimization risk could be studied, predicted, and reduced. With these messages from my field I'm dealing with, as a professor, as a human being, elimination of social conditions conducive to crime and victimization. These are different prevention strategies. Improvements of judicial response. We have been told about ad hoc courts and ICC and International Court of Justice, I'm going to mention. They are different. We need improvements of judicial response. There is need for elimination of situations which bear the greatest likelihood that a crime will be committed. To take measures to discourage the potential criminal. Or, as Newman, urbanist sociologist, said, we build a defensible space. Dubrovnik city survived due to the walls. They are beautiful now to walk over, to see the sea. It has been attacked during the war. As you know, you have mentioned it, Your Excellency, thank you for that. It was exposed to the victimization. Inter-University Center, I belong to it, is in Dubrovnik. I came here from Dubrovnik. There is a course, 80 students, like here, and professors from all over around the world came regularly, like last year and 24 years ago, except for 2 years during the domestic war, have been there enjoying Dubrovnik and learning about victims, victimization process, and victim assistance. That building of the Victims and International University, Inter-University Center, with the 220 universities as a part of it, member of that center, International Center, Inter-University Center. It has been on the 6th of December, 1991, has been bombed, shelled, and destroyed to the ground. Now we rebuild it. Students are again there. Victimization is past, but there are no things that, or values that could not be distracted, hit, if there is an intention to kill, to fight, to have aggressive war, and so on. Defensible space is something what is known in the architecture modern, in urban areas and the others, to protect those who are exposed. Human security is a pressing issue in today's society. Insecuritas humana, this is it. It's not the only characteristic of the human life. Berliner Philharmonie will play tonight Mozart and the others. People will enjoy it. And all around the world, there are many quiet places, but there are northern African places and some other I mentioned. And altogether, there is a kind of insecuritas humana which characterizes the present era. The contemporary world is increasingly faced with processes of dehumanization, conflicts, violence, terrorism, and genocide. There we are. Genocide, throughout the history, hundreds of millions of people have been murdered by their government or ruler. Christians by Romans, Christian crusaders, Aztec, Spanish Inquisition, witch hunts, Jewish pogroms throughout Europe, the Mongols, Genghis Khan, through 14th, 15th century. Soviet Union, 62 million people have been killed. Was it genocide? It was dictatorship. Communist Party of China under Mao Zedong, around 30 million. The Nazi under Hitler carried out the Holocaust against Jewish, 6 to 7 million, a lot of people. Cambodia, 2 million. Turkey, 1 million. Maybe it's not quite so. I have a dear colleague here and now good friend. But they have been, somehow it is written in literature. We have been talking yesterday about this, how it happened. And it is something what will be very important for Turkey and the world and Armenians to clarify. This is data from the literature. Then Rwanda, Croatia, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, former Yugoslavia, Pakistan, Indonesia, Sudan, well over 100 other governments murdered their share in this 20th century bloodbath. Titus Yugoslavia, a gentleman with a cigar, white gloves, dictator at home, leader of the non-alignment countries, communist. In 1944-45, more than 50 mass graves, 300,000 deaths. These are newly opened graves, mass graves in Slovenia. Terrible crime. Then came the Genocide Convention, 1948. You have heard a very nice paper on this. It's act committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethical, racial, or religious group. What Mark is trying to do now in Model Convention, he brings political groups and social groups and culture, which is improving then the object of protection. But this convention is not a bad piece of law. It's well done. It's, again, should be improved. So my proposal for your model convention is either to have independent, as you propose it, or create the idea and to amend the existing law, which is convention, which is possible because it's necessary to deal with the problem, not only regionally, it's much better if we can deal with it in the world. But the concept in itself is absolutely positive. Srebrenica, just to remind you, it was terrible in July 1995. Vukovar in Croatia, 5,000 in Vukovar, 7,000 and more in Srebrenica. Croatia altogether 20,000, Bosnia and Herzegovina 200,000 probably. In this war in former Yugoslavia, according to Sharif Basuni, I propose he should be part of this movement for the Model Convention. In this war in former Yugoslavia, all have been committing crimes. All have victims, but more than 80% of all crimes have been committed by Serbian forces. Sharif Basuni was approached by Secretary General of the United Nations, suggesting to him, why don't you put it so a little bit different? Less on the side of Serbians, more on the side of Bosniaks and Croats. He rejected the idea of falsifying data. Vukovar 1991. Of the 300 men taken from Vukovar hospital on the morning of 20th November 1991, 260 remain missing until the discovery of a mass grave in the area in 1996. Professor Jurcevic stated that in all armed conflicts in former Yugoslavia, Serbia was involved in the role of aggressor, while all others defended themselves on their territory. In addition, Serbia was the only one controlling an armed force, so that all others were predetermined to play the role of victims. Not only, of course. Kurdistan, you have been there. Probably 182,000. Some estimates are going to 300,000. A lot of people. Here on the right-hand side is a lady and a baby. These are the Anfal march, the street of Halabja after the attack. Thousands of Kurds attended the burial ceremony for victims of Saddam Hussein's Iraq genocide. Kat is here too. The most risky conference I ever attended was the one in Erbil, Kurdistan, Iraq, 2 weeks ago on 15th, 16th of April. You see the soldiers. And this group here are survivors who survived the mass killing. And they approached me and they have been telling their stories. When we have the crime, sometimes we have survivors, and they need special care, understanding, support. There was an exhibition. Operational Anfal was a genocidal campaign against Kurdish people in northern Iraq, led by the Iraqi Ba'athist regime of Saddam Hussein. Anfal campaign included the use of ground offensive, aerial bombing, systematic destruction of settlements, mass deportation, firing squads, and chemical warfare. The main reason why I'm talking about this is using of chemical warfare. 250 towns and villages were exposed to chemical weapons, massacred 50,000 to 100,000, non-combatant civilians, including women and children. International response to genocide, and this is now what we have been told by many It could be by politics and diplomacy, UN, regional organization, European Union, international law, convention on genocide, and it could be improved. International justice, we have different courts, including International Court of Justice. Science should be, you are inviting scientists, should be part of the study. And then there was a cry that genocide had happened again, never again, didn't succeed. Iraqi genocide victims, according to Dr. Ali Saeed Mahamat, through Anfal campaign, more than 100,000 young men, women, children, and old people, they were all taken by military vehicles and transported into the middle and the south of Iraq, and later they disappeared, to be found after the operation Iraqi Freedom in mass graves. They have developed, I have supported it, special notion of there are genocide victims, but there are mass grave victims too. It is when you have 3 or more victims in one. Jan Sabian said, and sometimes not even killing, just burying them alive. I have a booklet, a person, Iraqi Baptist, confessed in an interview publicly that he covered a baby, young baby, by sand in the mass grave, alive. It was systematic process of ethnic and cultural cleansing, mass murder, and an attempt to erase Kurds' national identity. Saddam Hussein's chemical war against the Kurds. Iraq is not the only country to have used chemical weapons, and the Kurds are not the first victims of Iraqi poison gases. However, it is the first time in history that these weapons of mass destruction have been used by a state against its own civilians to suppress internal democratic opposition. Genocide prosecution, half century after UN General Assembly adopted Genocide Convention, it has been said already over here, International Tribunal for Rwanda found one Jean-Paul Akayesu guilty of 9 accounts for his role in 1994 Rwandan genocide. The ICTY in 2001 judged that the 1995 Srebrenica massacre was an act of genocide. International response might be positive, negative, neutral, active, and passive, different. Serbia became the first state in history International Court of Justice judged to have violated the Genocide Convention, only for not stopping it, but anyhow. Genocide is preventable. We need Genocide Prevention Task Force. The spotlight genocide prevention as a national priority and to develop practical policy recommendations. It has been said, the conscience whispers while interest screams aloud. There is a special attempt by Mandela in South Africa, Truth Commission. This is one of the ways how to prevent and how to stop genocide, and to replace judicial procedure. I am coming here with a proposal. The United Nations should put an end once and for all to the production, proliferation, and use of chemical and biological weapons. It is needed. It shouldn't be there for these purposes. Kofi Annan in Stockholm Genocide Prevention proposals are so important, and now we are finding it in your model convention, to set a committee on the prevention of genocide and a special rapporteur on the prevention of genocide. We should move from the culture of reaction to the culture of prevention. This is an important way to have an early warning system, We proposed it on the 5th International Symposium in 1985, held in Zagreb, Croatia, at that time Yugoslavia, to have an early warning system. This is something what is needed. The impotence of the international community is there. The reaction was not proper. Vukovar, Srebrenica, and Anfal, never again. Thank you for your attention.